keeps you going out on the road, tour after tour?
Chickpeas, without a doubt. Now, I mean, obviously playing music, going around the world, it's crazy. Like, we're so far away from home right now. We're in Chicago, we're from London. To have people come and see us is just such an honor. It's like affirming, and it makes you feel like you're doing something right with what you're doing.
Yeah, I never like to moan about doing this. This is the dream job. But it is difficult. Yeah, it's very tiring. But it's so, like Rich said, it's so rewarding having all these people there singing your lyrics back to you, and yeah, you couldn't ask for more, really. In terms of like the things we actually do on the road to keep us going, yeah, good food, good restaurants. We scope out gyms and spas and stuff like that to help us relax during those small windows of time we have. I like to seek out record stores, and that keeps me going. But yeah, ultimately it is about the shows, and it is about doing this for a living as well, and that's the dream. So.
This question's from Tyler Baines on Reddit, and he asks, what behaviour do you enjoy seeing most from fans during your shows? For example, singing along, jumping, moshing, etc. Yeah, I personally love just a high energy level from the crowd, because I really need to kind of feed off of that. I mean, it really depends how I'm feeling on that night. Like, if I just feel really relaxed and like the show is just easy, then sometimes the crowd doesn't necessarily matter, but definitely a more energetic crowd can make a big difference to the experience for me. So yeah, singing along, jumping, moshing. I'm always like trying to engage as many different people as I can throughout the show. I mean, there are times when I have to have my head down as well and just focus on what I've got to do, but personally, as someone in like an audience at a show like the one we do, if I was just looking at a bunch of musicians with their heads down at the floor or their instruments, I'd kind of feel a bit disconnected from the action. So I like to just involve everyone and try and pick out different people and see how they're enjoying the show. What about yourself?
Yeah, I think pretty similar. I spend very little time looking down at my hands, to be honest. It'll only be when I need to look at what I'm like triggering on a pad or a fader or knob and turn. Most of the time I'm looking at the audience and trying to see how they're enjoying it. I also enjoy the high energy stuff, but it's like not just that, I guess. It's any way if you can see that they're enjoying it and it's having a connection with them, and sometimes you don't get that so much and you can't always expect that. I guess it just does depend on the audience, and as you said, sometimes you don't care so much because you're able to just perform, but I mean it changes day by day, I guess. As you say, your mood and how you're feeling playing and the room and the audience, but generally we do like it when there's a bit of energy.
Yeah. It can depend on like the layout of the venue
100%,
and like how big the crowd is as well. Like if it's a more intimate kind of feeling room, then it just usually the energy feels way better. For example, like one of the biggest shows we played on the tour in Europe earlier this month, earlier a couple of months ago in London, it was probably like the biggest venue of the tour, but the layout of the room felt so intimate.
Yeah, because it kind of went up.
Yeah, you could really sort of connect with everyone.
Yeah.
Whereas there were some much bigger feeling rooms.
Was just a big,
and everyone just feels so far away, and like it's more difficult to connect in those scenarios.
Perfect. It's not going to work at all. It's just going to. Basically a string instrument. It is, but then it's tight for half of everything. For falling back to earth, it might work.
See you guys. How do you get into the right headspace before a show?
Turn the lights off and surround myself with a circle of candles, and I meditate for 4 hours before the show.
Truth.
That's not true, but I don't know. I feel like the first few shows on the tour, it's a bit nerve-wracking. and like you're kind of getting into the flow of not just playing the notes, but being able to play it in front of a crowd, which is, you know, part of the obstacle of being like a performer. But once those few shows are over, it just starts to feel a bit more natural, and I personally don't go through any real processes apart from just warming my fingers up by playing certain sections in the songs that I find tricky. But in terms of headspace, I feel like I'm prepared anyway. I don't feel like I need to kind of change that headspace. I feel like definitely at this point of the tour, which is towards the end of the tour, I feel quite comfortable playing the songs and comfortable playing in front of a crowd now. So yeah, how about you?
It's a very dangerous thing to get too worried about what's about to happen. Obviously, if you've done the prep and you've done the rehearsal and you've done the warm-ups, which is something I do to get in the right headspace, then the rest is kind of out of your hands. You know, you've got to do your thing, and whatever happens, happens out there. And ultimately, it's fun. It's striking a balance between making sure you're ready. So yeah, I do a good half an hour of vocal warm-ups, for example, but also finding that sort of peaceful state and calmness before going on stage, because really you don't want to be stressed.
Very important part of warm-up. Get the beard knee.
So you just eat chocolate and smoke a beer.
Some of us, mate, it's natural talent.
I know, we need to warm up. I just got it naturally in my fingers. You know?
I've brushed it all through, you know. At some point turn on my laptop.
This question is from 97 Vector on Reddit, and they ask, are they trying to kill you with this set list? My shoulders are sore just listening to it. Yeah, it's pretty intense set. I don't know, are you trying to kill me, you bastards?
It was a joint decision to kill you.
Yeah.
You were
I don't
part
know,
of it.
I just kind of go along with it. I mean, it's like, I don't know who suggested this set list, I just kind of agreed and then realised how much hard work it was later. But I kind of like the challenge and the physical workout each night, because it kind of saves me having to do like a proper workout each day before the show, which I often have to do. So I'm just kind of treating this actual set as my daily exercise, and then if I can do anything else at some point during the day, then that's a bonus. But yeah, they probably are trying to kill me, they just haven't told me.
Hello, yes. Yeah.
I've got another one for you.
Oh no. God.
This is a question from Zach Drett, Discord. I have read on the web that you wrote almost entirely Aquarius and Visions. Why did your style change so much between these albums and The Cocoon?
I don't know. It's a tricky one, really. I guess writing music is just a natural process, and it's usually a result of what you've been listening to at that time. And I think I was watching a lot of movies, I guess, when I wrote Visions, or at least the framework of Visions. Everyone had their spice to add to it. So yeah, so I guess the music that came out was a result of like watching a lot of these movies. Aquarius, I think I just fell in love with the Lydian dominant scale and just based the whole album on that one scale. So that had a certain tone to it. So both those albums sounded different. When it came to The Mountain, I kind of generally approached that one differently as well, and wanted each song to have its own kind of flavour to it. But when it came to The Cocoon, that was a long time after that. So like I said before, like, you know, you listen to different music, you're inspired by different musicians, and the kind of fuel that inspired that album was different. So yeah, naturally the music came out differently.
This is from Rush Shirt Kid on Reddit. The question goes, Haken's back catalogue has an extensive amount of keyboard sounds and samples. Visions and Affinity in particular are loaded. How do you access these or reinvent them for your setup? That's a good question. And I guess there was quite a lot of that with this tour, because we had about 2 weeks between tours and another 50 minutes of music to learn, including some old stuff So there was a lot to learn. I certainly don't have access to any old patches or sounds, so everything is done from scratch. And normally it will be a process of, for some of the albums there's stems, not the older ones actually, but from Affinity onwards there are stems. So I can often have a listen to what's been done on the records, and where things are important, stick to something roughly similar. But in other cases take artistic license and sort of just do things that more fit my own natural style. And that'll be the case with the sounds I use in program and also the parts I play. So it's a bit of a mix of trying to keep enough in there that people still recognize it as the song and can enjoy it live, but also do something that feels more natural to me.
This is from Ashley on Discord. Ross, will there be any more growling or harsh vocals in future Haken material?
So, Ashley, I deliberately used growling style for the Aquarius album as it added some sort of emotional anchor for that story we were telling. It's not a style that I particularly enjoy singing in the studio, however it is great fun to do live. I will definitely entertain it again. I have actually done some harsh vocals on subsequent albums, but they're usually buried as a sort of layer in certain sections. So I would never say no to ever doing it again.
That section in Streams it's that really low, doomy guitar section.
Yeah.
And I think, from what I remember, we went down to D, which is like lower than the F sharp on the 8th string. I think we detuned that string right down to get that kind of low, doomy sound, and then we layered on your growling on top, and I feel like it really captured the part of the narrative there really well.
This is from Matthew on Discord. What has been your favourite song or keyboard section from Fauna to learn to perform live?
It's got to be Love Bite, surely. You're constantly moving your hips, gyrating throughout that song.
So Love Bite is quite easy and fun, and my hips do start thrusting. That's unavoidable, especially in the bridge before the guitar solo. So if you've been lucky to see that, well done you. But favourite song to perform? Probably Elephants Never Forgets, I think. And it's because there's quite a lot going on in my part. There's not many sort of in a way, Charlie's forefront for half the song because he's playing the sort of like melodies, but there's a lot of keyboard layers in that, and I'm trying to recreate everything live. So I'm constantly hitting buttons and moving knobs and triggering stuff. So it's just kind of like you, I like challenges. I like to be on the brink of falling off. So that's quite fun for me. So I'd probably go with that one.
This one's from Carey Hughes on Reddit. How do you decide who gets which harmony parts when singing live? Question mark.
Carey, I'm normally taking the lead vocal. However, when it comes to deciding the harmony parts for the live versions, we tend to ensure that whatever part is suitable for the person's voice and what makes sense for their natural range is what's selected. So Pete, for example, has quite a deep low voice, and we normally give sort of the lower part of the harmony. If there's a 3-part harmony, for example, then people take that lower harmony. Connor and Ray have both got, well, Connor's more of a mid-range voice, a bit like mine, and Ray can sing really high. So he normally takes the top ones, and it's quite comical doing it that way. But yeah, that's how we arrange that stuff. In the studio, I'm normally taking all the parts myself. But on Fauna, Ray actually jumped in, and yourself actually. Rich jumped in.
Yeah.
And
I think because
took a part as well.
So I came to one of the sessions, well, it was a session for Eyes of Ebony, and obviously that was a special song for me.
Yeah.
I wrote lyrics for that one about my dad, and I felt like it would be nice if I was on there as well.
Adds a nice texture to have different voices as well.
Yeah.
I'm also ignoring you because you sing live as well. Rich has got a great breathy tone.
And if you close your eyes, all the angelic moments in the
Yeah.
set are probably from me.
Yeah.
That was a joke. I mean, I'm terrible. I'm a bad singer, but I do my best. But yeah, so that final moment of Eyes of Ebony was kind of like tipping the hat towards, like we joke about this, but you know, Lost Boys, the song from Lost Boys where they got this kind of children's choir, and like we've always wanted to like capture that energy and mood in a song, and like layering the vocals like together in the studio was like the closest we could get to that. But one day we will get a kids choir on a Haken song. It's gonna happen.
What goes into setting up a live show every night? We've got a sound guy and we've got a light guy, so they set up a lot of stuff. But we set up our own gear. So for myself and Pete, we've probably got the more involved setups. For me, I have to allow maybe about an hour to set up my kit each day. And some of that also involves setting up our sort of playback system, our click tracks and that side of things as well. Because I operate that when we play live. I say operate, I mean I literally just press play and stop like on a, this is literally a massive play button. It just looks like an old VHS player. Yeah, and then you've got to set up your keys and
15,
stuff. It doesn't take
minutes,
too long.
But more than the guitarists, I guess. They kind of put their pedals down.
Yeah. The rest of the setup is pretty simple, at least as far as the other guys in the band. Yeah, it's very, very quick and easy.
Relatively speaking, we travel light.
Yeah, we do travel light.
The guitarists don't have cabinets. I don't have any hardware synths, so it's like
And we don't have like cases of guitars all over the place as well. Like most bands who play this sort of music travel with multiple guitars, but Richard and Charlie just have one guitar
and
each.
A backup they share.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
Connor only travels with one bass usually, so yeah, we're pretty minimal. And then we've got a lighting setup which isn't particularly, massive either.
I guess it varies with but
and then the sound side of things, like our in-ear monitoring unit and stuff, that's just a couple of small flight cases of stuff. So it's pretty light. Yeah, it's not too involved.
A couple of hours work each day.
Yeah.
As a group.
All right, Rich, we've got a question from Armorail from Reddit. What Tigran Hamasyan album would you recommend to start for a new listener?
Firstly, Tigran is the greatest musician of all time. I'm a huge fan. My favourite album of his, it's got to be Shadow Theatre. I feel like he's kind of like nailed the harmony and the rhythmic aspect of his playing on that one. It's an incredible album, so go to that one, then follow it with Mockroot as well. Another great album.
That was the one you recommended to me.
Shadow Theatre.
Yeah.
It's a beast, an album.
That's our warm-up. Let's shoot some hoops.
Yeah. Try.
This is from Jeffrey on Discord, and he asks, what is your process for coming up with good synth patches? I guess broadening the question to sound design is more sort of, I don't see myself as programming that many synth patches. I mean, I do, but my approach when it comes to writing parts for Haken or in my solo stuff is more about general sound and trying to create a sort of an atmosphere or an ambience or an aesthetic, usually something a bit weird and sort of like jarring that pokes out of the music rather than sits in it, which is often the opposite of what people want to do. They want things to sort of blend in nicely, as I like things to kind of jar out and stand out a bit. So my process usually, if I think about it more broadly, is anything that uses randomness. That's generally my approach to sound design. I like to create systems that have an element of randomness and you kind of let them run many times and pick out the good parts and kind of piece that together into something structured. So in a way, that's my approach. Rather than being like, I'm going to really systematically build things up, I like to throw loads of crap at the wall and then pick out the good bits and try to create that into something interesting. So that's kind of my rough philosophy when it comes to sound design.
Haken!